Let's look at video now from the Instagram of Kylie Jenner. She is a former girlfriend of Travis Scott, and they share a daughter together. You can see a lot of those pyrotechnics, that energy that Robert Arnold was talking about, the crowd, kind of, you can see people jumping and kind of like a mosh pit where people jump over and jump into each other. You can feel the energy that Robert was describing earlier today when everybody was waiting just to get into the concert, that rush, let me get inside. And once that music started, once those lights turned on, everybody was jumping up and down, enjoying the concert until about 9:15. When we are told reports of the crowd just compressing up onto that stage and trampling, I'm sure hurting others in the meantime. And we are getting reports that there were people who were needing CPR, who were going into cardiac arrest. What caused that cardiac arrest? That will be under investigation for quite some time. Could it have been a drug overdose? Could it have been the injuries? So that is definitely part of what we will be looking into here as the time goes on.
And you can get a sense of the energy involved in this by looking at those people jumping up and down, how many they may be there. More than 50,000 is the estimate of people who are there. And as we pan off from left to right, that is a similar kind of scene we're going to be seeing over the next several days. There's a lot of the video phones that people had out there putting up their shots on Instagram and Twitter and so forth. We'll be seeing a lot of that, all of that energy focused in that one area. And that is why we have this and this is not unlike what happens at a lot of concerts. Similar kind of circumstances happen where the energy is there, where people really get fired up. Something different about this one, however, clearly took place, and that's what our investigators are going to be looking into. What could have dissuaded something like this from happening? What could have been put into place to keep this sort of tragedy from happening? And will this be an example of what should be done going forward? Drake was there last night. They're one of the performers. He's another performer that by himself would attract a big crowd, but when he showed up, the crowd got re-energized when he was there, we're told by reports of people who were there on the scene. So just really, really heightened energy for a lot of people there who were wanting to have a concert, since the last one was in 2019 and the last year's was canceled because of the pandemic. So pent-up energy certainly going into play here, causing a lot of heartache for at least 8 families this morning after we have 8 confirmed dead.
Well, it is just after 8 o'clock this morning. Thank you for staying with us on our extended coverage of that breaking news tragedy overnight. At least 8 people dead at the Astro World Fest concert last night. Reported of a mass casualty event from HPD Troy Finner that at least 8 people were killed.
It is a tragedy. I know that as I was preparing for the day and I was listening to a network, and they broke in saying 8 people, Houston, what? From a concert. It just does not happen, but it did happen here last night. I will have more for you as far as our weather is concerned in just a bit, but let's talk more about what we're dealing with this morning.
Yeah, we know that there were more than 500 police officers and security officers at NRG Park when that concert happened. It began early, actually. It began around 2 o'clock. Those gates opened up, and we have video from earlier of some of the kids, some of the people that were coming in being trampled. You can see some people in the crowd trying to stop them and help others up. And that was just a precursor. That was just kind of an ominous sign to kind of preview what happened later on. Around 9:15, we are told by HPD Troy Finner and Fire Chief Sam Pena that something happened. We've had these types of concerts before. This happened back in 2019, just on a smaller scale at Astro World Fest. We had that concert. Some people were injured, but nothing of this mass casualty. And we're told that around 9:15, something happened. The crowd pressed up to the front of the stage with more than 500 personnel, security officers and police officers. The planning, I think, would say that that was enough to control a crowd the size of about 50,000 people. But looking back now, it just wasn't enough, or something happened where they couldn't get to them.
Certainly some of the promoters said they thought they had enough with the number of security and HPD combined working together to make that happen. They thought they had enough based upon what had happened in previous concert in 2019. They know that this sort of thing could happen. But that packed concert last night certainly was a big challenge for them all.
Yeah, and we definitely had some heart-wrenching social media posts that we have shared earlier with our reporter Robert Arnold. He'll get into details of those, but just a few of them we could talk about really quickly before we get to the command post. One of them described them just incredibly. One woman that was there, one girl that was there, had described the chaos of the people packed in the crowd. She turned around and she just saw people kind of drowning in people. That is the strength and the sheer mass of that crowd, that you turn around and then you see somebody and then you don't. And then another woman needed help. She had been passed out and her friend had put her on top of the crowd so she could crowd surf to safety. So this is what we're dealing with here. They were trying to get some medical personnel to help. According to social media reports, that people were yelling for help, or friends were trying to do CPR on other friends just because medical teams couldn't get to them in time.
It paints a picture of the circumstances that set up this tragedy. Crowds of people, plenty of energy, maybe not enough security in some places, maybe not enough people who are paramedics who could help people, but that's all going to be sorted out at some point in time. HPD set up a command post for missing persons who may be there. That's at the Wyndham Hotel. But we continue with our team coverage we have this morning. Reporter Rilwan Bolagan is live at NRG Park with the latest on what's been happening out there.